There's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, GuMPers.
Hola, bom dia, alegria. Munson here from expatsportugal.com with the Good Morning Portugal live stream. Tudo bem? Como estás this morning? How are you? Consumer Tuesday here on the Good Morning Portugal live stream, where we look at yes, your lifestyle choices, and we've got a very good lifestyle choice coming up for you around 9:30. You know, Lonny's in already this morning, saying hello to everybody working in the room. Hola, bom dia a todos from Lonny. And he'll be along with mate Ralfe Faustino from Amaranth. We must ask Ralfe about Amaranth because that's a beautiful and unsung, to me anyway, underrated, I don't want to get too much into the negativity about it, but like we need to, let me put it this way, we need to know more about Amaranth, and Ralph's your man to tell us about it, because that's where he comes from. But not only that, he organises tours, and along with Lonny, they are organising a tour to Podence. Remember when Filomena was on last time with a bit of Feel Good Friday action? She introduced us to these characters here, didn't she? He'll be running down a cobbled street, not near you, don't worry. Although, can you imagine if they just turned up randomly around Portugal? That'd be quite amazing, wouldn't it, for Portuguese tourism? But their location is, look there, you can see winter festivities, the Carnaval of Podence. It's the, the Festas De Inverno. And that's happening. Well, Lonny and Ralfe will take you there on their tour that they're organising from Porto. Pick up at Porto and then off to Podence. More about that at around 9:30. Before that, this morning, it's Moulen on mortgages. Jacqueline Moulen will be here from Mortgages Direct and telling you all about how to get a mortgage in Portugal. Okay, OLP is in, the original OLP. I think given the Super Bowl entertainment, more of us should convert into rap style and hip-hop legendary names, right? So we've got the original and the real OLP this morning, haven't we? Morning, the real OLP. It just sounds so funny when the GuMPers call each other by their hip-hop names. Morning, real OLP, how are you? He doesn't really speak like that, by the way. Bom dia, trabalhadores do mundo, se unam, você não tem nada a perder além das suas correntes. Please translate for me. It's so hard for me to do that at lightning speed in the way that, as we found out yesterday, Tama Katan can do that. He's an inspiration or a massive annoyance, right? To us all, showing off like that, telling jokes in Portuguese on stage. And he'll be doing that in Porto, won't he, this Friday night? I wonder if Lonny's going to that, and Ralfe, if they're organising a tour there. But tickets left, I think, for Tama's gig on Friday. I'd love to be going to that. Hopefully see him when he's in Lisbon sometime. That could be a bit of a GuMPer meetup. Baldylocks is also here. Good morning, all. Morning to you, Baldylocks. Pretty good sort of rap hip-hop name, that, I think, isn't it? MC Baldylocks. Today in Portuguese history, thanks to the prof. The prof, there's another one. He's the learned one in the band, isn't he? Always has to be the smart guy in the band, and it's the prof, Eusebio, midlife crisis world tour. You know it. Today in Portuguese history, 1912, the Portuguese government and Marconi sign a contract for the establishment of a pizza chain. No, not that Marconi, this is Marconi. And Marconi signed a contract for the establishment of wireless telegraphy between Lisbon, Porto, Lisboa, Porto, Funchal, São Miguel, São Vicente, de Cape Verde. So there you go, Marconi. It's not a man, is it? It's the company by that stage, I'm guessing. 1912, today in Portuguese history. This day in Portuguese history, check this out. Thank you, Pippa, for this. Today is a palindromic date, isn't it? 22/2/2022, or whichever way you look at it. Yes, because it's a 2 and a 2, then a 0, then a 2 and a 2, then a 0, then a 2 and a 2. It's a palindrome and an ambigram. I'm feeling ambidextrous this morning. Let's read this out then from Pippa. Thank you very much. From Botswana. Botswana, not Potswana. Potswana, that's the other, that's twinned with Amsterdam. Botswana. No, Botswana. The number 2. Ooh, the number 2. And who doesn't like a number 2 in the morning? Morning GuMPers. The number 2 in astrology symbolizes the union of two people or two ideas. Oh, a good day for partnerships then. This number is all about collaboration and teamwork. Some numerologists believe this number can represent a choice where both outcomes can teach valuable lessons. Wow, that's interesting. Thank you very much for that, Pippa, this morning. So this is this is once in a lifetime. Of course it is. 220-220-22 today, Tuesday. Lots of t's as well this morning. I need to put that little bit of information. Thank you for going to the trouble. And that's taken from the Herald over there for Pippa. So let me just put that into the comments too, because it's an auspicious day, isn't it? Whether you like numbers or not, or whether you think it's a load of old sort of superstitious hooey, and we know our spectrum ranges from all of the above, that's there for you to look at, to just go, oh, that's interesting. It's just a quirk of numbers, of course, from the Gregorian calendar. And others who go, whoa, man, this is a great day for collaborations, dude. You know who you are. You know who you are in our community this morning. So there it is on the screen for you right now. Hiding, just showing off my bald pate there for you, and a little bit of 220-220-22 action on this Consumer Tuesday. I want to tell you about a very happy company, the Algarve company that creates a happiness department. Department there in the Algarve. So we'll come back to that, and an Algarve 2-minute taster from Doug, of course. His love of the Algarve continues with his latest video, so we'll play that before 9 as well. Stick around for that. Back up to the Bayrada as well, because I see Andy's in the house. The Porky Feet, that's quite rap and hip hop, isn't it? The Porky Feet. The Porky Feet in the house. Could mean all sorts of things, that, couldn't it? I'm doing just fine and dandy. I hope you're all doing good as well, Oregonians. To the OLP there, to the original, to the real OLP. Stephen Wright and Carl in action this morning, of course, as well. So thank you, Prof, for that. And a great question. And we all, I think many of us, actually, maybe not all, but many of us want to know the answer to this. Midlife Crisis World Tour. Can you recommend a good book for me to read about Portuguese history that is not so Americanized? Who is that writer who wrote the world's first global village? But I think he was an English writer, wasn't he, who ended up in Portugal and writes about Portugal there. I think it's something like the world's first global village. His first name might be Martin. Can somebody else help me out with that? And talking of books, we have books to share. Thank you. I'll show you what James is reading at the moment. He might want to read that book that you mentioned there in conjunction with this one coming up on the screen any minute now. Here's James's reading matter at the moment. Dicionario Portuguese English with you can do sums with the calculator on that by the look of it. I'm reading the English, of course, there. And a raposa é muito matreira. The fox is very cunning. They always get it bad, don't they, in books, in children's books. It sets the perceptions of a lifetime of the wonderful fox right from your childhood literature there. No different in Portuguese. And also for Portuguese, maybe this is Dr. Bayard sponsored, because top left-hand corner it says, I have a sore throat. Getting people ready for a Portuguese lozenge there. And in the bathtub with a turtle. No turtles were harmed in the writing of this book. So there you go. How's it going, James, reading that one there? And I have other images to share with you. Of course I do. Sent in on 913-590-303. What did I miss from yesterday? Oh, excellent. We heard about Mandela yesterday, didn't we? And there will be a special coming up, a webinar. The Ask Our Expats team will be talking about animals, looking after animals, having pets in Portugal. And of course, we heard of the terrible plight of Mandela yesterday. And this allegedly indestructible toy was sent in. So only a few tiny shards possibly of rubber or plastic, but not at lethal, not LD levels. There for Mandela. Do we ever whip round and buy him one of those? It looks like to me like something from Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings that has to be guarded very very courageously so that it doesn't get into the wrong hands. Are you sure that's what it is, Suze? Are you sure it's not taken from the props department in Hollywood, or is it an indestructible dog's toy? That's what Mandela should have anyway, Suze thinks. And we had this lot of Algarve action at the moment. Mrs. T there, Mrs. Turner, Coach Turner's missus, they're having a great time in the Algarve and sent me this picture too. You saw the perforated lady on the bicycle, didn't you? There she is. And I think that's her on her bicycle, not Mrs. Turner, the perforated lady that we've come to know and love in the Algarve. And there he or she is. Is it the same person or a different perforated person in running pose? Very appropriate. Excellent. And that's what they've encountered whilst out and about, having a fabulous time in the Algarve. And I'm reminded suddenly that I'm sure I've got other things to share that came in late yesterday. It was a packed show yesterday, wasn't it? Great fun. Oh, here's an excellent bit of Portuguese hospitality for you. Louise, who often joins us on our gardening Q&A on a Monday evening, 6:15. Don't miss that. From where this type of spinach came, longevity spinach. I'm strong to the finish because I eat my longevity spinach. I'm Papa the Sailor Man. But no, we're not talking about spinach. We're talking about red wine. Louise helped neighbours pluck the grapes last year, I believe. Yes, probably September of last year. And lo and behold, this year, 5 litres of red wine turns up. How good is that? That's life in your Portuguese neighbourhood. That's the sort of Consumer Tuesday we're talking about here. Have I got anything else? Let me just see if I missed anything from yesterday's picture desk and your picture submissions from yesterday. And I think we're up to date, actually. We got the gnomes, didn't we? Yes, we're good. We're up to date. Let's go back to your greetings this morning. And I feel like I got some real lead in my pencil this morning. T-Duck, Bon dia Alegria, GuMPer Nation, another man, it's rocking the HB this morning. Can you, are you H or B? More H than B or more B than H this morning? I'm talking about lead in pencils, of course. We've done the book recommendation. Stephen Wright from T-Duck then. The Stephen Wright quote of the day. I've got to breathe and slow down, haven't I? If you must choose between 2 evils, pick the one you've never tried before. What could possibly go wrong? James, the aforementioned, and there's a banana slug. We haven't commented upon this fine vehicle sporting the banana slug there. Feliz Terça a todos. Can we have an ID on that car, please? Oh, and talking of cars, this is so strange and sort of incongruous, really. We've already had a book about Portugal in as well. Thank you, Lonny, for that. So I'll save that while I'm there. But Dougie has written an article. Any fans of the Mark I Ford Transit? I had a Ford Transit, absolutely loved it. That's your white van, really. You've heard of White Van Man, haven't you, from the UK? He's a narky geezer who drives around the M25, making loads of money on his Mark I. Well, probably, where are we up to now with the Ford Transit? But I had one, and Dougie has written an article about the Mark I Ford Transit, as well as making all the lovely videos for us. A lovely photo in from the second-hand market at Alcobaça. Okay, Alcobaça on the radar too. Let me save that and share that with you. And Deagle, photo in from Deagle. Look, we've got the books now. Martin Page, The First Global Village. Excellent, how Portugal changed the world. And in Portuguese, A Primeira Aldeia Global. So all of those to come up as well and share those with you. But where was I going with that? I can't remember now. But I honestly can't remember where that tangent upon tangent upon tangent went, but that's how it rolls here. Who doesn't like a tangent upon tangent in the morning? George Carlin quote of the day: "House is," look, talking of buying more books, a house is just a place to keep your stuff while you go out and get more stuff. Yes, ain't that the truth? And yes, greetings being shared. Well done, everybody. Matty's here. How are you doing this morning, Matty? We're all very concerned about your well-being and health. Olá, bom dia a todos. Feliz terça-feira de Amsterdam this morning. Oh, sad face. What's the matter, mate? You're not feeling the May West this morning still? I'm sorry to hear that. Baldylocks, fine and dandy. Fine and dandy, that's nice. It is, isn't it? That might be our dress code for our hip-hop band as well. Yes, hashtag fine and dandy for us when we get dressed to go on stage, the GuMPer hip-hop band. It's Ducks in a Row Day. There it is, as aforementioned there. A special day, partial to a duck, not to eat. Maybe to eat as well, actually. Now I mention it, but T-Duck loving the 2222 day, and there it is in emoticons. Very nice, auspicious for you today, T-Duck. Yes, I'm getting there slowly with baby steps. Take it easy, mate. Let's hit the Matty hard. And he's a picture of health when I met him, so yeah, it can get you. So do all the things you know how to do, and I'm sure you're impatient to get back to Portugal, but take it easy there, Matty. Essa de Queiroz wasn't a big fan of religion or the English, as we discovered yesterday. Scathing notes to the British, to the English. Prayer is a fictitious consolation invented by those who have everything in order to keep those who have nothing contented. I think these. When did he write this stuff? I mean, you could say that there are still some remnants of what he's talking about, but I think he's talking about the heyday of his observations. Right? It doesn't sound like a very cheerful fellow, does he? And there he is. Is he got toothache in that picture, or just leaning against something because he just can't stand the weight of the world and all the terrible English people and religion and Anyway, there you go. That's Essa de Queiroz. I belong to the bourgeoisie, and he's got to have his own world-weary voice, hasn't he? I belong to the bourgeoisie, and I know the only reason my class bothers to show the lower classes that distant paradise full of ineffable pleasures that will one day be theirs is to amuse them from their own bulging coffers and from the abundance of their harvests. Wow, world weariness and cynicism right there. Not to say he's not inaccurate, of course, but what is it like to bear that load? What happened to him thinking like that and writing like that? Please tell us more, Prof. Morning, everyone, from the Andy, from the Man Cave Andy, from I was going to call him Man Cave Candy there. I mean, they're a very attractive bunch of men, as you'll see, sat there in their stained singlets, drinking special brew on a Friday night. Good morning to you, Andrew. Andrew from Matty as well. Even though he's not feeling well, he can still shout out to Andrew like that. How amazing. Okay, so a bit of book news then. Let's get these pictures on the screen. So on Consumer Tuesday, I'm not, I'm no consumer, you know that. Well, I am everyone's a consumer in this culture. I'm not singing the praises of consumerism, you understand. But there are things we have to do from time to time here in Portugal, aren't they? We have to buy stuff. And let's do that in the best possible taste and share the greatest of purchases with each other, whether they be books or great places to go, like the second-hand market in Algarve. That's a pretty good consumer outing, isn't it? Consumer Sundays. They're going home with loads of stuff. Even more clutter. The house, the place where you keep all that stuff and the extra stuff you keep laying your hands on, despite claiming to be a minimalist one moment. My Portuguese housemate gave me an English translated copy of a Portuguese authored book entitled Cliffhanger, a very short history of Portugal. How short is it, I wonder? By A.H. de Oliveira Marques. So there's another recommendation. The others, of course, bring into your screen now. The one I mentioned before. Thank you, Deagle, for finding this for us. The First Global Village by, it was Martin Page. Isn't that a great name for an author? Martin Page, very good, both in English and Portuguese there. Como Portugal mudou o mundo, how Portugal changed the world. And didn't it just? And this is what you'll discover in this most excellent of books. And that's quite a collector's item, I think. And when I searched for that recently on Amazon, it was changing hands for quite a lot of money, far more than its original cover price, I would say. What's the other book that was sent in? What else have we got? Oh, yeah, thank you very much for this. This came in. This was from you, wasn't it? Also, James, this morning. This is from Lonny. Lonny sent this in. Where is that, though? I want to know. It looks like it's been stolen from a library with its barcode on it there. Revised and updated edition, the Portuguese, The Land and Its People by Marion Kaplan, another immigrant expat foreigner writer there. Can you recognize any of those pictures? I'm going to go with, is that Porto, bottom right-hand corner? Aveiro next to it in the center there with the special fishing barges that they have in Aveiro. I don't know what that is on the bottom left, and I'm not sure which particular religious building that is in the main picture there. If indeed it is a religious building, it could be a drying tower. It looks like a bell tower, though, doesn't it? Very good. Thank you very much for that, Lonny. Thank you very much for that, Deagle, sending in those book covers. There you go. The real OLP gets a question answered straight away. Still doing 15 minutes each day. Well done, Deagle. That's many more. It was questioned yesterday. You need to do 4 hours, apparently, but I don't want to pee on your chips or crush your crest there, Barcelo Cockerell's crest, because you are putting in a sterling effort with that, and I'm sure it's paying dividends. Was it helpful to you when you were recently in Portugal? And yes, OLP, thank you very much for that. And Lonny is here, of course. We're not even at 8:31 in the comments. Bon dia, Alegria GuMPers from lovely Nadadora You made the move. How was it, Cindy? Lots of love to you. Love and luck and best wishes for you in your new home there, Cindy B. Still on the Silver Coast at the wonderful Nadaduro. She is putting the sparkle, the gold in Nadaduro there. Well done, Cindy B. All the best to you in your new abode. How lovely. Oregonians loving Portugal. My favourite book from the prof. The prof's answer here is A People's History of the Portuguese Revolution, Varela. But it's a bit dense to start out. And what's going to happen? I'm giving you a heads up. 2 years and 2 months in advance here. It's going to be 50 years since the Carnation Revolution. And I'm not seeing any sign of celebration of that fact. What do you think is going to happen, Prof? Can us expats do something that makes the most of I think, probably the best revolution ever, right? How many casualties? Very few. And I think they were like the sort of, not to undermine or devalue or diminish anybody's death, but they weren't exactly combat deaths, were they? Accidents, I think, that happened around the time, because obviously there were a lot of people on the streets, but no bloodshed as we understand it, and the most incredible peaceful revolution. Its results obviously being questioned and analysed to this day, perhaps not quite the revolutionary outcome that was hoped for, but certainly a change from the standing control and government of the time, which many wanted to overthrow, but not everybody, of course. And there are still Salazar fans, of course, in Portugal, and maybe we'll talk to one on the show and find out what their view is. So what do you think, Prof? What's going to happen? 2 years to go. Are we going to celebrate? Are we going to do something? Is the government going to do something? I'm picking up a sort of low-level cynicism at the moment and indifference, and we can't let that happen. Straight out of thunder. He's a brother that would your mother. There we go. So T-Duck getting into it. T-Duck is he got called T-Cell by Will. T-Cell's quite a good rap name as well. We're naturals at this, aren't we? And Bon dia GuMPer. GuMPers. Yes, we do say well, I do, don't I? Quite a lot here. My brother and his Zairan wife are in there. Tell us what happens here. And Munson's Morning Massive. I'm going red after that. How embarrassing. I still think that we should be collectively known as Munson's Massive. Please never introduce yourself. We were talking to Tama yesterday, weren't we? And people might go up to him on Friday night in the club. In the club! Burp, 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 burp. They might go up to Tama and say, I'm a GuMPer, pleased to meet you. And if we hadn't explained to Tama yesterday, I'm sure he would have been very, very polite, but would have called security at the same time. He now knows what a GuMPer is. Please do not introduce yourself as a Munson Massive. Okay, that's for me to do, and me to do in the privacy of my own home only, even if it's not true. Bon dia, gente linda. Beautiful people. Greeting from Owen, as we've come to expect. Morning to you, Owen. How you doing, mate? OLP. What does alegria mean? I couldn't find that. Well, I'm going to leave that hanging there, like I like to leave things in the morning, just hanging there for others possibly to answer. But yeah, that will be answered before the end of the show, don't worry. Bon dia, GuMPers. So much to do, so little time. If I just give you all the answers, you're not going to learn anything, are you? Bon dia, GuMPers. So much to do, so little time. In the move to, is that just a general life comment? Because it's true. Or is that about coming to Portugal from Germany there, Jim? All the best to you in your move. And yes, all the details there of the 22022. That could be on our album, couldn't it, of rap classics. The Porky Feet is here. Bon dia a todos, Silver Coast, Bairrada, Central Portugal. The massives there of the Silver Coast, the Bairrada and Central Portugal. I wonder if that's going to do anything into the algorithms. And who doesn't like to mess with their algorithms? In the morning, excuse me, what was that? My brother, there we go, another go at this. My brother and his South African wife on their way to Cape Town. I wish I can afford to go with them. I love Cape Town, says Moaz there. Thank you very much, Moaz, and good morning to you. Blooming teachers, shouldn't you be marking? Yeah, this is a distraction. How many teachers are being distracted by the Good Morning Portugal live stream this morning? We won't say a word. He's done it. Done his marking. He's up to date, perhaps. What's your favorite marking feedback, please? Oh, actually, no. Can you mark this show? Give us some, while you're in the habit there, whilst you're in the zone, the marking zone, can we please have a mark from you? The GuMPer community, how are they doing this morning? Could do better. would do better not to talk, would to work rather than talk. Can we have will never amount to anything? Can we have some teacherly feedback, please? Andy Gilchrist, Portuguese. Bon dia, GuMPers from Baddy. How you doing, Baddy? And Pam's here as well. Let's show Pam's picture while she's here to the Pam's people. Look at that. Isn't that lovely? That's what you can see on the occasional Sunday in Alcobaça. How often does that happen? And I'm telling you, these are not flea markets, bric-a-brac things where you can pick up things cheap. Nothing is cheap, as far as I can tell, at a Portuguese second-hand market. That's last Sunday, so perhaps it's that particular Sunday of the month. Looking busier than for a long time, says Pam in the picture that she sent me. Okay, yes, nice picture sent in from a nice meme there. Thank you very much. Let's squeeze that in as well. If we have the time this morning. Oh, it is downloading for me. There you go. You can hear some Microsoft noises that prove I'm trying to download something a little bit too fast. Oh, and another book, A Very Short History. Is that just one sheet of paper? It looks like it. No, A Very Short History of Portugal by A.H. de Oliveira Marques, as mentioned before by James as well. So we'll bring that to your screen so you've got a visual reference on that. And there's the Alcobaça Sunday Market. So let's just take that off the screen for the moment. How do I do that? And like that, yo, and that's the way it is. Okay, so hey, party, Andy. Oh no, I'm not going to read that out. Original title, Brevíssima Historidade de Portugal. There from James. Thank you. Okay, well, whilst we're talking about that, let's bring that onto the screen as well. Loving this technology, isn't it amazing that we can do this? Thank you, James, for this. Let's bring it onto the screen right now. There it is. The Very Short History of Portugal. Nice graphic on the screen there. Loving that. Very good. Very good. You know, the great symbol of Portugal and how they changed the world, of course, was via the seas of the world in their incredible tall ships. And it's interesting, isn't it? You don't see them very often, the great tall ships of Portugal. You would expect to see a lot of those peppered around the coast, wouldn't you? I'm just saying that out loud. I'm wondering why that is not the case. Maybe they were all burnt later on for firewood or something like that, or none were preserved. Portugal just moved on like it does. I mean, Portugal moves on, doesn't it? That can be said too. Brief history of Portugal, indispensable for travelers. There you go. And Cape Town is amazing, says Francis, and he knows because he lives there. Great time of year. They're going to enjoy that. Being there in Cape Town, the weather is great at the moment. So a companion history, another one about Portugal, Zé Hermano Saraiva. That's great, isn't it? That's lovely. At least 4 books this morning then answering your call there. OLP. And we mentioned Ian Turner before, didn't we, Coach Turner? And we shared your lovely pictures this morning, Coach. I don't know if you were here for that. Bon dia todos. Another beautiful day here in Luz. Looking forward to meeting up with Victoria this afternoon. Fantastic. And exploring a little of Praia de Rocha. While we're talking about the Algarve and the lovely people of the Algarve, and of course, Victoria is here. Look, OLP, the Verse Global Village. There you go. Another shout out for that particular book. Frank and Rachel have just dusted down the Airbnb for your delight as well. Great hosts, Frank and Rachel, of course, their Airbnb down there in the Algarve. I think it's in Portimao. Casa Toronto of Truckers. Welcome. Ubi Ominum. Bon dia todos. This morning from Ubi Ominum as well. And a question for Jacqueline. My American brother. Okay, we'll star that and we'll come back to Jacqueline, who'll be here soon. And I'll tell you what, if I don't get a move on and play the 2-minute video, because it's going to get busy. We're going to be talking to Jacqueline. We're going to be talking to Lonny and to Ralfe at around 9:30. So I think I should play this video from Dougie now. Algarve Drive, this one's known as. And then we'll come back and we'll be talking to Jacqueline Moulen on mortgages, of course. And we will, of course, be talking to Lonny and Ralfe, and we'll get more and more of your comments in as the show goes on.
Here we have the many, many faces of the Algarve. Now, driving some of these Algarvian mountain roads is nothing if not engaging, because to say that they're just a little bit on the twisty side I think understates the situation somewhat, because really it's one hairpin-like twist after another. But having said that, the scenery around here is utterly magnificent, and I won't go without saying that it's basically quite a lot of fun. The chances of anything coming from Mars was 1,000,000 to 1, they said. But still, they came. What a gorgeous little village. So many different sceneries and different landscapes, and this has to be one of the most beautiful. Even though I'm only a handful of miles north of Lole, I couldn't be more in the sticks if I tried. These are Portugal's famous cork oaks, every single one with its own identity number. But now I've made it as far as Alcotim, and I think Alcotim deserves a video all of its own, so I'm going to hand you straight back to Carl.
Now, of course, you saw Alcotin yesterday, and if you didn't, I'm going to make sure they go up on our YouTube channel. Thank you so much, Dougie, for those. I don't think he drove a Ford Transit on that landscape there, but there's the link to his Ford Transit article, newly published, freshly published, fresh off the presses, metaphorically speaking. No, they do publish, don't they, every week as well? The PortugalNews.com. Find out more about the legendary Mark I Ford Transit that he's written about. What a Renaissance man he is, writing and videographing and making movies for us and coming over and sharing his love of the Algarve from Wales in the United Kingdom. There. Thank you very much, Doug. Another one of those tomorrow. Carl, how much coffee? Do you know what? I haven't had any coffee. Can you imagine what I'd be like if I'd had that many coffees there? 6 on 220-220-2222. Let's find out if Jacqueline Moulen from Mortgage Direct SL is into the numerology as well. Good morning to you, Jacqueline. How are you?
Good morning, Carl. Great. Nice to see you. People are complaining you had too much coffee that you didn't have.
Well, I'm not sure if it's a complaint. We're going to find out there. And then, yes, coffee I didn't have. And we do have a teacher marking us this morning. Andrew Gilchrist has been marking students' work this morning. And I've asked him to give us some, a bit of feedback as well. I think we're going to get an A+. You always get an A+ when you come here and talk about mortgages. So any mortgage questions you've got at all here on Consumer Tuesday with Moulen on mortgages this morning, do pop them into the chat. They've already started coming in. But how about a bit of industry news? What's going on in the wonderful world of mortgages and housing?
Well, I think interest rate is still really good. And lots of people are buying. Lots of people are interested in coming over to Portugal. The feedback I get the most is that Portuguese people are the most friendly, warm, welcoming in the world. Well, maybe at least in Europe. And that has a big draw, of course, people coming here. But it's not slowing down. I think that's the main message. We have a lot of people from everywhere, but especially north of Europe, north of America. They want to come here.
Yeah, because it'd be great to get the view of somebody who builds houses, because these things have sort of time lags, don't they? I know from the shop windows of San Martino de Porto, where I am here on the Silver Coast, everything in the window has got vendido on it. Not everything, but mostly. And you think to yourself, I was having a chat with Jerry about this. He said, is that just a marketing thing? So we pondered that. Are they just showing that they can sell houses? But I think genuinely they don't have any inventory. And I talked to another estate agent who said, if it's being built at the moment, it's already sold. So when does the building industry catch up with the demand, do you think?
I wouldn't know. I'm definitely not the expert from that market, but I think the demand is just, I think the general tendency I'm feeling from everyone is people are being a bit blown away by the sheer demand basically coming their way. So I think, and then that will have a time lag to catch up always.
Yes. Yeah, indeed. Amazing. Okay, so we have our first question coming in. Should we get straight into these, or is there anything else you want to tell us?
No, just that happy to be here again. Thanks, Carl, for having me.
It's great to have you. And we one day will have a full Technicolor jingle for you with Moulen on mortgages. Question, who'd like to voice that? I'm sure people are saying that at home now. Moulen on mortgages. Question for Jacqueline. My American brother wasn't able to get a mortgage in South Africa because the bank didn't want to deal with Americans. What? Do Americans have any problems with banks in Portugal?
No.
Why would they?
I'm helping Americans all the time.
Yes, there you go. There's the proof. Okay. So a difficult and odd and particular situation possibly.
You do have to know which bank, maybe. So just a little, some banks, maybe not. So yes, but no, definitely there's enough banks that do want to help Americans.
And what is the Americans' favorite bank here? Is it the same wherever you go that most people tend to go with Millennium BCP?
Because they see it everywhere, but it wouldn't be my recommendation. Usually because they're too expensive and the interest rate for the I had one for a client now, 1.5%.
Yes.
Not with Millennium, with another bank. And if clients, if I introduce them, I cannot tell you what every bank is offering in the whole of Portugal. I mean, like to any client, because that's a bit of the catch, that you can walk into a bank and they could offer you something more higher than because you're a foreigner and you don't know where to look, really.
I see. So you need to know people in the know, and that's why we talk to Jacqueline once a month.
I mean, you can still get a good mortgage maybe when you walk into a bank. I'm not saying it's not possible, but we kind of researched that already, and there's some banks I just wouldn't go to because of the slapped-on products, the interest rate being higher, all sorts of things that people, and you can also get confused because they advertise in the window something, and then you find out maybe it's subject to a lot of other things in order to get that interest rate.
Hold on a minute. Slapped on products. Now, I have to say, first of all, before you answer that, I do favor your chances of getting a mortgage over my own or anyone else's, because in the high street, you are just going to be probably led by canny advertising, aren't you? Cleverly crafted advertising that pulls you in with the promise of a good interest rate or some other benefit. And then you have these slapped on charges. What sort of things do you mean?
The main one being life insurance. I think that's an expensive one. Depending where you come from, maybe you don't need it or already have it. And life insurance can be an expensive, it can be like, it could cost you more than a mortgage on an annual basis. So yeah, you want to be mindful of finding a bank that doesn't include that one. Other one is home insurance, but kind of logical. So home insurance is not so expensive, and it's also, well, you know, if you're
what was that?
That is my cat again, trying to be part of the
show. I thought it might be a cat knocking stuff over. Fantastic.
Yeah, he feels a bit ignored being not in front of the camera, so he's trying to draw my attention another way.
We're a very friendly show. If he wants to be on the camera, he or she wants to be on the camera, they are more than welcome, okay, to join us and stop trashing the place.
He's now looking out the window. Sorry.
Not at all. Slightly grumpy face now? Just
no, he's more like, he's not looking at me, so hey, Chico.
Come on, Chico. Come and say hello.
Yeah.
Okay, another question then. The OLP, the real OLP, I would like to know if you can accept no substitute. This is the real OLP talking. I would like to know if you can have a mortgage until you're 80 years of age. This is a question that comes up, and it's always good to answer this one. As I heard on another podcast, and also 70 years of age on this podcast, different parameters. Chico's here. Are both these true? So let's get to the bottom of this. Age limits on mortgages and how to deal with them.
So yeah, that comes down to the question of which bank you go to. In general, it's the rule that banks like you to have paid off your mortgage by retirement age. Yes. But the most banks go up to the age of 75. So it's in between 70 and 80 that this lady or person was asking.
Yes, that is.
So 75 is the best one to base them on because that's most applicable to most banks. But there is an exception that might go to the age of 80. Yeah.
Okay. And when you say retirement age, do you mean by the time somebody voluntarily stops working or by a particular statutory age of retirement?
It's been 67. So that's usually the going retirement age that most banks work with.
67? Is that because they keep adding years on? It used to be 60, then it was 65, and now they're going up in incremental years to keep working a bit longer.
To be honest, the exact cutoff, I think it's 67 for most banks. I'm thinking about it right now, but I think this is the going retirement age in most countries in the north of Europe. Definitely in the Netherlands and Germany, as far as I know. So
He's brilliant.
I have 2 cats.
But I love that the banging off stage there. Hello. It's brilliant. OLP, thanks for the question. Remortgage terms. I didn't even know 80 might even be a possibility. It could make all the difference, says James Holly. So it's good to ask, isn't it?
It is good to ask. Keep in mind, 80 is really with maybe one bank, and then it couldn't be the most affordable mortgage offer in the market.
Right,
but
okay.
If it's what you need,
and it's the only one you can get, then you've got to look at it, haven't you, I guess. And talking of making inquiries, getting in touch with you, what's the best way to do that? Should they go through the website like this, or is there a better way of doing it?
They can go to the website, but they can also just send me an email. But don't send me a big story, because I will reach out to you the same day, but then I will ask you to fill out the form, because it allows me to efficiently go through profile. And if I have to read a whole book, I'm not, I can't, and have to look for all the information. What is the relevant parts? And then probably I still don't have all the information. So I have half of the book, but still it's, So please, good question. If someone wants, just drop me a line. Hey, I saw you on the show. Great. I'll send you an email with the application form, and then we can take it from there. We can have a call, and if you want to run something by me, of course, we can do that.
I love that. That's so brilliantly Dutch and correct, because you're not going to be wasting time then, are you? And are we talking about JM? Is that the JM email address?
Yeah.
That
mortgage director.
And I'll change. I mean, you can find out more about the company from the website there, but I'm also putting Jacqueline's email address. And yet, no need to go into the detail right there, because you're going to be referred to a form which extracts all the vital information that's needed.
And very efficiently.
We're not having a time wasted there. I love it. This is why we have you on here, Moulen on Mortgages, getting direct and to the point here. Now, we had another question about, it's our demographic, we are in our 60s. Are there any Portuguese lenders who will give us a mortgage beyond 75 years old, i.e. longer than 15 years for us, please? So what can they do there? I mean, you've touched on it, of course, briefly there, but there are other workarounds with this, aren't there?
There was a workaround with one couple where one of the applicants was younger, so that was a solution. But if in this case, I think both of them are in their 60s, so then we would have to work with the 75-year-old. Most likely that's the route to go. I do see a picture with a lot of grandchildren.
You do, yes, indeed.
I did have a client who said, okay, then I'm going to include my daughter in the application. Yes. And in terms of inheritance tax, I'm not a tax advisor, and this is also not financial advice. It's just giving a gist of what can be done. But that was a solution they thought of themselves, and it made sense for them. I'm not saying this works for everyone, but that could be an idea.
Very good. And this is interesting, isn't it? Because there was a time when parents would have been the guarantors for their children, but now you can go into almost like a partnership, potentially, possibly, with your children. Oh, who's that? So you got Chico, and who's the other one?
That was it. So we have Madonna. She is the most playful and jumpy one. Really? She is making. Sorry, they're extremely.
It's actually fine. I haven't had any coffee. They haven't had any coffee. But look, still, these are the sort of levels of energy without coffee. Such a slow process. Gary's complaining here of buying our house in Castanheira de Pera. Still resolving documents on a property. Will we ever get there? Hang on in there, Gary. We agreed the deal back in September last year. Now, we should say, shouldn't we? I mean, you'll have experience of overseeing people's processes. I mean, not overseeing in the sense of driving them, because there are so many moving parts, of course, to a house purchase. But in your experience, how do people manage? This could make a YouTube meme. What's going on here? We're going to be
I'm sorry. They're usually much more quiet. I don't know what got into them this morning. They're very excited about this show.
We're not complaining. We're loving it. But yeah, you see this for people. I think a situation like Gary's, you driving around Portugal, you see the property. Wow, we love this place. We've made a deal. They've accepted a deal. We're going to be in there in 2 weeks. It's going to be fantastic. Maybe 2 months. and then 6 months passes by. How can you manage this process?
I think exactly what you said, Carl. People drive by the property, fall in love, and they wanted to have it yesterday, which I get. I mean, I get the emotion totally. My advice is please manage the process early on the other way around. So if you want a mortgage, if you need a mortgage, talk to me or one.
I think the cat's chewed through the cable
so that
now,
you can get your hands on the money that you're looking for.
Yes.
And the second, I think, most relevant, important person to involve is a lawyer. They can check the documents. They can check the sales contract for you. They just make sure you're protected. Probably a lot of listeners here are not speaking Portuguese yet, so it feels also a bit daunting to write your name on something that you can't really understand well. So that's where you have a lawyer. Or my cats, they can also criticize.
They want to help, don't they? They really want to help this morning.
I think they do.
We should never ignore the messages from animals.
No, I think that's
humans have ignored animal communication at their peril. The romantic vision, it's like in a movie, isn't it? Like a Russell Crowe movie. Yeah, being in a small Portuguese village and you see the place and you say, excuse me, you're talking Portuguese, com licença, casa. And they say, oh, it's for sale. Really? We'd like to buy it. Excellent. My cousin owns it. And you're just like,
my cousin from 3 generations back or something. Maybe.
Cousin from 3 generations back actually lives in Brazil. And then you find out all the other stuff later, don't you? But you think, yeah, you can buy this house. But yeah. Another way of doing it is to get all the technical side of it lined up first, and then go for your drive into the. It's
not exciting, but it's kind of it can save you a lot of headaches and sleepless nights. I'm sure
it's necessary. It's necessary, isn't it? So there you go, Gary. All we can say to you, mate, is just hang on in there. And I'm sure you'll get there in the end, and it'll be all the more delightful when you're sipping that first gin and tonic or whatever it is you're doing on the veranda of your lovely house there in central Portugal. Okay, we do have more questions. Penalties are normal. What sort of penalties are normal for paying off your mortgage early? Can you even do it? And if you do, what happens?
You can, and yes, there's always penalties. When you have a variable rate mortgage in Portugal, that's 0.5% of the amount you're paying back. So if you pay back 10,000 euros, it could cost you 50. And if you have a fixed rate mortgage in the fixed rate period, it would be 2%. So then it's 200 over every 10,000 paid back.
Okay, there you go. So that's a very simple answer to your question there. Thank you, Chris, and good morning to you. Oh, and he has another comment. 80 just goes to show that life expectancy in Portugal is great. That's a way of looking at it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very good, Chris. Thank you. If you have life insurance on your mortgage, what difference does age make? That's interesting, isn't it? I guess it's about risk, isn't it?
Yeah. So, of course, there is a lesser chance of the mortgage not being covered in case of death. When we talk about the age part here, not to make it very gloomy Tuesday morning, but the banks still see it as a risk to avoid, and they look at what the average lifespan is in Portugal. I'm not sure if it's over 80, to be honest. I think that's kind of what is the logic for basing the mortgage term on. Okay. And it's not per se geared towards what is the lifespan in the United States or what is the lifespan in Sweden or Switzerland, just to name it.
Okay. All right. Here in Oregon, I could get a new mortgage at 95 years old if I'm qualified with assets. So I suppose that's another way of looking at it. I mean, anything is possible, let's face it. And if you've got a lot of assets, I guess you could go to private finance or whatever. But we're talking about high street mortgages, aren't we? Really? Or thereabouts.
And I think that's the main differentiator is to look at the economical reality of each country. So that's a lot of where the risk goes to as well. So most banks don't want to incorporate a lot of new assets into their portfolio because it's considered a debt burden on and it's not something they want to acquire. So the risk analysis is always done in a profile. The property, of course, is part of it. There will be a valuation of the property, but even for most of our people, they don't have a lot of assets in Portugal. So imagine going after someone's assets in another country from a legal standpoint. It's not doable.
Yeah. Sorry, what was the other cat's name? Chico and
Madonna. That's Madonna. She's here, and I'm actually sitting on a yoga ball, which is kind of like.
Oh, hello. Sorry, the name. What was the name again?
Madonna.
Madonna.
Yes.
Like the singer. So Madonna and Chico. There's Chico time and Madonna time in the house. A jingle, I
They're
think, is
really good at giving mortgage advice. So, they're an essential asset of my work.
They must be here. You don't put them in another room next time. They're always welcome. Okay, so bring your cat to work day when you're on Zoom. Jingle, you say. I think somebody's working on a jingle, and that'll be Owen. Now, you're a dancer as well, aren't you? So, what sort of musical genre?
Well, when I was growing up, it was Madonna as a child. I think she was my first English teacher and many other things.
Oh,
and
I'm
an 80s child. So, and my sister was a bit older than me, so she just dressed me up like a doll, like Madonna.
Wow.
And, was that teaching me dancing and all of that stuff.
So we need a kind of synth pop vibe, don't we, with it? 80s synth pop. Moulen and mortgages. Yeah, okay. Maybe a sampler with a stuttering Moulen on mortgages and a bit of 80s synth. There you go. We've put the order in there for Owen. Let's see what we can come up with. And you'll be the envy of all your colleagues in the mortgage industry. I've got my own jingle. How about that?
I think they'll all be knocking at your door like I want one too.
Yes. I mean, and obviously needs to be a meow on it somewhere as well. Okay.
Like that?
Good.
Yeah.
Credit, lending, money, use in general, all very different in Portugal from the US. Would you agree with that sentiment? People need to prepare themselves for a different sort of culture.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not the US reality. It's very different. The way they look at income and outgoings is different. The credit worthiness is not so much based on the assets. I think where in the US, they do that much more.
Yeah. Okay.
And yeah, just most countries, I don't know about the US to be honest, but if I'm not paying taxes in the country, I couldn't get a mortgage in that country. So it's kind of a very niche operation per definition. I think there's only a few countries in the world where you can actually get a mortgage if you do not have any tax or asset history in the country already.
All right, good to know. Yeah. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, I'm just going to put your email address onto the screen as well as the website address that we've had there. And don't forget, send a message to Jacqueline so that she can reach out to you and she'll send you a form to fill in so she can get the vital information and start working on a possible quote for you. Cats on camera. Cats are great. And loving the added fur babies this morning. So they've got to be here as part of your appearance every month here. What are we? We're on the third Tuesday. No, we're not. We're on the fourth Tuesday. I can't believe it. Fourth Tuesday of the month, of course, when Jacqueline
Short month.
Moulen mortgages. It is, isn't it? They've had the same coffee as Carl this morning. Yes, thank you very much. All 25 family members that inherited the home must agree unanimously to sell. Otherwise, it sits often empty and unused. I think that's true here in Portugal. And cute cats, says Moaz as well. Somebody said, "What a beautiful cat" earlier on. I think talking about Madonna there. So I'm not sure if I included that. Yeah. She is lovely, isn't she?
She has her own Instagram account and she has more followers than I do. So.
That's amazing, isn't it? That's not fair. Life expectancy in Portugal in 2021 was 81.06 years, and in the US it was 77.3. Isn't that amazing? Values decreased due to the virus didn't mention its name. Okay. And James, it doesn't even stop when you've bought. To register our subsidies for the land, we have to get everybody to come to a meeting despite owning the deeds. That's good and useful information as well. So prepare for the unknown. Have a party. Prepare. Get the wine in for such eventualities. Treat everybody nicely. Bring them round for cheese and wine, because we know that's the British way, isn't it? A cheese and wine party. If in doubt, cheese and wine. Hasn't life
in Portugal, so why not?
There you go. US been going down for the past several years, in fact. So it's no wonder people want to move to Portugal, as you said, for a better quality of life, which it consistently scores well in. Joao F. Credit equals credit score and history versus cash on hand. Term of mortgage based on age, banking fees, and a few others I've run into but can't remember. So James H. is obviously doing his due diligence on this. And everybody, says Pete Bleach, who had the land registered to them had to come to the party. That's amazing. Great and practical question from Iceland this morning. What's the fastest record a foreigner got a mortgage approved? What is the what is the realistic timeline for what to expect with regards to completing the mortgage application process? Very good, very, very good question. Thank you, Bud.
So I think that there's important to make a distinction between what do you mean with a mortgage approved? And what do you mean with owning? I think because that's where the confusion comes from. The mortgage approved from the bank, so the bank telling you, yes, we can do this, can be done in, I think the quickest I had was 2 weeks.
Wow.
I think I've had colleagues who had 2 days. It just, if you have a very straightforward profile, maybe loan to value isn't as high, they can move really quickly.
Yes.
So the bank telling, yes, you can own this property. I think that's the first important milestone that people want to find out about. Like, well, is the bank willing to lend to me as a person? Yes. That's a couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. I think that's a more realistic timeline. It can take longer. We did see delays because of COVID and then offices and people falling out and those kind of things. That happened. So I would say now let's work with a month and then we have everything in place, even for a more complicated profile. That's one. Step 2 is doing the valuation of the property. Again, that depends on the availability, and because then you start to get more people involved in the process. First is just, sending the stuff into the person at the bank and the risk department looking at it. So that's just a few players. But then we add someone needs to be available to open the door for the person evaluating the property. And once we have that feedback, then you can start to agree on finalizing. But then, a lot of people need to be geared towards the same end goal. And that's not something you can firmly control. So on average, I would say 6 to 8 weeks, but depending on everyone involved, really.
Yes.
Depending on everyone.
Okay, that's superb. Thank you very much, Jacqueline, for that. And probably finally for today, don't forget you can get in touch with Jacqueline at JM. Let me just bring this back onto the screen by getting rid of that comment for a moment. If none meant there, Baddy. But JM at mortgagedirectsl.com. Mortgagedirectsl.com. Sorry,
just say hi. I saw you on Carl, and I'll reach out to you the same day, and we'll get it going.
All right. No, I wasn't talking to you actually, Jack. I was talking to the cat there, but they answered anyway. No. So just to go back to this age thing, which is quite important to clarify. So if two people, 165 and 170, the mortgage could be 10 to 15 years. Is that right? Is that going to be doable?
Could be, but possible. Not all banks do it. So it's something that I really have to look at it if it's possible, considering everything else of your application.
Possibly, technically, but get in touch. That's the thing to do. JM at mortgagedirectsl.com. And then can we squeeze another quick one in?
Yeah, go.
Okay, cool. Is there a minimum for a mortgage loan? 1,000 down, put down 60K. So is 40 okay? So what are we talking about in terms of minimums here for the loan?
So they wanting to get down 60K. Okay, so they want 40,000 for the mortgage. It's on the lower scale. So less banks are interested in offering that because at the end of the day, it's a commercial transaction for them too. And if you go much below 40K, it's becoming less and less interesting.
Okay, so you have to go with what makes it worthwhile for them and be pushed to that sort of level. But again, I suppose it depend bank to bank, won't it, on their particular approval or not, and what their conditions are on that particular mortgage.
Yeah, exactly.
Superb. Okay, anything else we need to tell everybody before? I think we've given people some clear instructions there, and I think some people clearly want to get in touch with you to talk about the possibility of a mortgage here in Portugal. Baddy, very happy. That's a nickname she told us to call her. But that's not our nickname for Baddy in Iceland. They're wonderful. Thank you. So is there a minimum? Yes, there is a minimum. I think we just answered that. To reiterate again, it's around the 40,000 euro mark.
Yeah. So it's not extremely black and white, but at some point you can also question how interesting does it become to borrow the money because of the cost you do have to set it up. They're not so high in Portugal for a mortgage.
Yes. Yeah.
But everything else considered, I would say 40, 30 is kind of the bar.
Yes. Yeah. And is it true that only, because, somebody there might be thinking, well, the OLP, we know and love them. We'll just lend them the extra little bit. They only need 20, 30, 40K or whatever. Only banks can lend money in Portugal. Is that right? I need to verify this with you, or is that something that I need to find out from a different source?
No, I think there's if there's all kinds of lenders out there. I wouldn't work with them because our focus on, but everywhere you go in the world, there's always lending solutions, but I wouldn't, I mean, if there, it's a little bit like if there's demand for it, someone will catch on to that.
Create a product, indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, excellent.
Yeah.
Sorry. I
No.
interrupted
I
you.
just want to. We created a new job for someone who's offering to do the jingles, and then maybe the whole company is going to line up to have their personal jingles. So that's how.
You know where we are. You know where we are. That's right. When the demand is there, the supply arises, doesn't it? Oh, hold on a minute. Is there? I don't know what that means. Is there hard money to be had?
Sure.
Probably. What about equity release then? Maxine's in this morning. Yeah, and I think that's quite a good advice from the LP. Just say no to loan sharks.
Well, exactly. I didn't want to call it that way.
Someone else has said it. That's fine. Lending solutions. I like that euphemism as well. And what about equity release? How is that handled here in Portugal? And
if you're a tax resident, it's not easy to get that. And in a very rare situation where you're actually going to use it to rebuild something, but you need the licenses, you need to have all the structural plans in place. I wouldn't advise it. If you're thinking about buying and you haven't bought yet, then first talk to us to get a mortgage in place before you actually buy. If you've already bought, maybe, but it depends a bit on the situation. But I would say it's not something we should think about much. It's not so easy to get.
Okay, talk to Jacqueline first, and that's how to do it on that email there, jm@mortgagedirectsl.com. It's been such fun as usual talking. You've made mortgages fun this morning, Jacqueline, along with Chico and Madonna with you there. And I can say to people now, I had Madonna on the show this morning because it's a true story, isn't it?
It's true. You're not
thanks to you. And that lovely Louis XIV chaise longue or whatever you've got at the back. That's a lovely piece of furniture. Does that belong to the cats? Or
not really. It belongs to this house. And the house is more than 100 years old, something. So It's used to be a lemonade factory.
A lemonade factory?
Yeah.
Wow.
My great-grandfather, he sold no canola to the world. And then when Coca-Cola wanted to come to Europe, they didn't really like that. So they had a bit of a legal battle there.
He sold what? Low canola? What's that?
No canola.
No canola. Right. And was that a kind of homage to Coca-Cola?
He had a cousin who traveled to the United States and said they have an interesting thing here, Coca-Cola. And my great-grandfather was already selling lemonade, but he didn't have such a catchy name. So he rebranded it to No Canola, and then he went to register it at the trademark office. And No Canola couldn't sell when they wanted to come in the 90s. I'm not joking. This is a real story.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So they...
like the lemons build a house or create your own version of No Canola. So what happened? Did two men in suits turn up and say, we've got a letter for you. You have to cease.
A couple. Yeah, it's like, but we were in the south of the country. We have the mining industry here, so there's a lot of thirsty people. That was kind of exactly question and demand. So my great grandfather, he was nothing more than a horse and carriage driver. So he would drive these workers back and forth. And I realized, hey, these guys are thirsty when they've been underground so many hours. So that's how we started selling them lemonade. And that's how the company started. And it became a very blossoming country. Yeah.
When are we making the movie of this? This is so fantastic because there's a scene in the movie, isn't there, where he's riding along and who's it going to be? It's going to be Tom Hanks or somebody like that. And he says, "Hey, fellas, are you anyone thirsty back there?" And he hands them one of these, and the rest is history. And we've got that scene where the Coca-Cola guys come round and the little guy wins in the end. This is fantastic. Well, in the film. In the film.
Sorry?
Wow. In the film, the little guy wins. And
yeah, and he beats down Coca-Cola. But Coca-Cola at the beginning couldn't win because he was officially registered. And he says, your brand looks too much like mine, so you cannot sell in this radius of 50 kilometers, which was one of the biggest markets to sell to because of all these thirsty people working in the mines.
That's incredible. Okay, thank you so much. This is such a cool story, says Sam Nazare. Definitely needs to be made into a movie. I think on that email address, you might get a few offers for the movie rights as well. We can all retire. And I want a cut in this movie, and I want to be in it as well, because this is going to be a lot of fun making this movie.
I think you should direct it, Carl. You should be the director, no doubt.
It'd be my pleasure. Where is this taking place? Where are you talking about?
In the south of the Netherlands. So near to Maastricht. Maastricht is where the European Union was founded. So some people have heard of it for that reason.
Yes, of course.
And it's also on the border with Germany. So that's like very close to Aachen, which is kind of another big city around. So Maastricht, Aachen. It's like, I mean, I'm not joking. If I miss the exit to the supermarket, I end up in Germany. That's how close we are.
Okay. It can happen that easily. Amazing. Be careful then today. And we'll see you again on the 4th Tuesday of next month. Jacqueline, so thank you so much for being here, and lots of love to Chico and Madonna, of course.
Yeah, thank you, Carl, for having me again. It was a pleasure to be here.
A lot of fun. Ciao, ciao. We'll be in touch about the movie. We'll be in touch about the movie. Okay.
Yeah.
Bye. There she goes, Jacqueline and Chico and Madonna, which has made the entry of our next guest, Ralfe and Lonny, a little bit delayed. But as Brian is saying here, bon dia GuMPers, bit of a late entry today. Who doesn't like a late entry in the morning? Bringing on, first of all, a face you're familiar with. That'll be Lonny McLaughlin. How are you, Lonny? I'll take that email address. Otherwise, she's going to get your fan mail as well if I leave it on there.
Good morning, Carl.
It's great to have you here. And your friend, we all love a Portuguese BFF. Here he is, Ralfe. Good morning to you.
Hello.
How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm really well. Having a lot of fun this morning, and we haven't drunk a single cup of coffee yet. I dread to think what might happen. Those cats were pretty amazing. Were you here for the cat bit when Chico and Madonna were having a bit of fun in the background?
I was.
I was superb. I think that's going to make it onto YouTube by different means. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for being here this morning. You have a very exciting project to share with us. I mean, we're talking about tours in the north of Portugal, which is what you do, Ralfe. But specifically, let's work backwards from this, because this is what we're working towards quite soon. Thanks to Filomena earlier on Filomena Friday, last Friday, we found out about these incredible characters here in Podence, right? And this is the Festas De Inverno, the winter festival up there. Can you add your twist on this? Ralfe, what's this all about for anybody who would be terrified by seeing these folks coming down the street? Should they be scared? And what is all this about?
This is a tradition of a small village in the north of Portugal, very inside of the country. So it's a very, very small village. You just have like one street there. So these characters going around in the streets, messing with girls. So I think it will be a lot of fun.
All right, I think we should clarify, right? Because this is what we heard from Filomena, wasn't it? These gentlemen, and I use the term loosely until I can verify that they are in fact gentlemen. We'll pull up alongside a young lady often, and then they start swiveling their hips, and the wooden implements that are attached to their waist make contact with the posterior of said young lady. And this is perfectly acceptable and above board in certain parts of Portugal. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes,
okay.
Yes, it is.
It's all done in the best possible place. And this is no wonder why Lonny wants to take a coach full of people there to see this actually happening live. Lonny, what's happening?
Well, I don't think that was the intention for going for me. But one of the things that I appreciate about Ralph's tours and adventures is he's sharing things that he loves about Portugal and sharing his country with people. And he showed me the festival, the carnival. He said, "Do you think this is something people would be interested in?" I said, "Absolutely."
Oh yeah. Yes.
So
you guys have organised a tour. So tell us, people are thinking, I want to see that, and I want to meet other GuMPers, and I want to get on the bus with Lonny, and I want to hear what Ralph's got to say about this place. When is this happening, and how can people get involved?
It's March 1st. Yeah. Okay. It's March 1st. Ralfe has his email address and his website information. He's put together a tour. I think there's 8 or 10 spots available on the really lovely small coach he's got taking us to Podence. We're going to stop along the way and have a great lunch and celebrate with the caretos and shopping. And there's lovely opportunity for olive oil purchasing and homemade sausages and a great group of people. The thing that's most exciting to many of the people on the tour is there get to be 20 people who don't really know each other and in a coach together and creating relationships. Most of the people that are on the bus so far have only been in Portugal for less than 6 months. So
wow.
it's a great way for people to connect and meet one another and meet Ralfe and as he shares what he loves about Portugal.
And that we should say more about this, right? Because this is what you do anyway, Ralfe, right? I mean, just on that particular note then. So a chance to meet other people new to Portugal, a chance to meet other GuMPers, possibly people who are still wide-eyed about being in Portugal and going to this incredible annual spectacle, which presumably has been affected over the last couple of years. And they're really getting back into their rhythm this year with it.
Yes, I think last year they did that happen. Yeah. But this year it will happen and it will be great. Just to tell a little bit of this and how important it is for them.
Yeah.
Last week I was preparing the tour and I called for a restaurant, a local restaurant there. And I was asking if they will be open because I want to meet them and to prepare everything. And they said, no, this weekend we are not open because we are doing the sausages for the festival. So no restaurant this weekend. So this is great for them. This is the only party that they do in that village. So they put all of the effort on this.
Incredible. And this happens in Portugal, doesn't it? You know, people are very serious about their festas.
Yeah.
Yes. Good question earlier, Pete. I think I've lost it now, but you were asking about if there's a central, and Ralfe, you might be able to answer this. Is there a central sort of publication that brings all of these different festas together, or are they quite local and people don't necessarily promote them on a wide scale?
Yeah,
I think that's probably the case.
In this case, you do not need to promote it because.
Okay. All right. Now I understand. That's why the Portuguese don't promote anything, because there's no need to.
Yeah, we already know where to go. For example, in the summer here in the north, because I'm from Amarante, in the north, almost all of the village have their parties, their popular parties. So we pass all of the summer going to one village to another village for the party of another village. That's great.
We can't wait to have that come back. I've missed that so much in this last couple of years, and I'm sure that's the same for Portuguese people as well. So you mentioned Amarante, where you're from there. And I said earlier on, this is a beautiful place. Not many people know about it. Another well-kept secret in Portugal. Will you please tell us about your beautiful hometown?
Oh, it's very beautiful. I think the landscape, it's a picture for a movie. You know, it's very, very beautiful. It's very, very small. Lonny already been there. I met Lonny in a tour to Amarante. And you do not have a lot to see, but it's great to be there. And pass 4 hours there, it's enough to see all of the historic parts. We have a great museum. It's called Amadeu de Sousa Cardoso Museum. I don't think that you know this. It's a painter. Do you know this painter?
No.
So I learned one thing with Lonny when I went there, because Amadeu Sousa Cardoso studied in Paris and he painted like Picasso, but before Picasso. And it was Lonny that told me that, because
amazing. Sometimes that's necessary, isn't it?
Yeah.
So incredible. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on. No. Tell us more about your wonderful where you've come from.
So it's a very small city. It's a town, very small, but you have everything here. Okay. Yes. You have sweets. You can find that sweets just there.
Okay. So what's
I'm
the tradition?
Not allowed to speak here because it's they have a sweet. It's not.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, what?
The
Not
shape
family?
of the sweet. It's not to
Oh,
in
naughty.
public.
Okay. Right. So some people just love to gravitate towards that town just for that. Yeah. Okay. Even though you might, well, I think we all know the shape of it now. But what is it? What is it made of? What does it taste like? I can't believe I'm asking you that.
So the typical sweets of Amarante are made with eggs and sugar. Just eggs and sugar.
Well, I expect that sweet treat to be shaped. Okay. Oh, superb. And the food then, other than the confectionery, what is your local delicacy when it comes to the main course?
In terms of food, we work a lot with bacalhau. here.
Yeah.
Okay. we also work a lot with pig, meat pig. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
So our traditional food here, it's around that.
Okay. All right. So cod and pork dishes of amaranth.
Yeah.
What's sorry, go on.
Because we are in the place where the families have their own pigs. You know, they grow up the pigs at home, yeah. So everyone works with that and chicken.
And what I hear is everything of the pig is used in this situation, apart from the squeak. So they make sure every part of the animal is respected and used in the dishes that you're speaking of.
Yeah.
What's the region called, Ralph, where amaranth is?
Amaranth, it's near from Porto. It's around 45 minutes by car from Porto. It's from the inside, from the countryside. So it's not so far from Porto.
Okay, and the district name, what is that called?
It's Porto.
It's Porto district for amaranth.
I think Amaranth, it's the last town between Porto and the district of Vila Real.
Okay. Oh, Vila Real. Okay, brilliant. And so another great place to go. And you can take people to all of these places. You took Lonny to Amaranth. How was it, Lonny? A trip with Ralph?
It was great. I got to discover this artist that I can't pronounce. But what's great about, the Ralph was so proud of pointing out the bridge between the church and what used to be the monastery, which is now the art museum. He proudly said, "This is the place that saved Porto from the French invasion."
Oh, really?
And so it's on that bridge. So it's something that all the people of Amaranth are very proud of, that they saved Portugal from the French.
Well, you just got to go and see it on that basis. And so I think you speak highly of Ralph's tour operations then.
I do. The thing that I love, the thing that I've said to Ralph before, I said, what makes what he does different for me is, and I've joked about it, I said, it's more like Rent a Friend. Yeah. I met Ralph on this tour, and, within a couple of days, we were having dinner together. I lost my backpack here in Porto. He met me at the police station and translated everything for me. He's really become quite a close friend, he and his wife Lila, and in fact, he found me an apartment in his apartment building. So I'm going to be a neighbor.
Oh, so amazing!
But he's, he loves his country, and he loves sharing it with people, and he's a lovely family man with a beautiful baby girl, and it's just great to have. He's my first friend in Portugal. So,
how lovely! How lovely that it extends, just into the big picture of having a tour around the place, showing you what's what, and then becoming a friend as well. Thank you, Ralph, for being such a great reflection of so much that we love about Portugal. The country where, apparently, according to Richard Zimler, is the country where the rules are mere suggestions. I think some of us have experienced that as well. And the OLP saying hi to you this morning. How do people get in touch with you, Ralph? What's the best way to do that? I mean, we're going to give, I think, your email address, aren't you? Because you're part tour operator yourself now, Lonny. So we're giving your email address for the Podence tour, right? But we need to know how to get in touch with Ralph for the other work he does as well.
So I have my website, yeah.
Okay, your website. And can you type that into the private chat for me? I do beg your pardon.
Yeah.
I don't have that to hand. We'll go through a few more of the comments while you're doing that. 17 years ago, I bought a lemon tree, and surprise, surprise, around the lemon tree, there was a garden with a house in it. That sounds like a very Portuguese story as well. Wow, what a fun story to end the mortgage section with. That is going to be a great movie. That lemonade, the no Coca-Cola, I think, no canola, that she was talking about there, that Jacqueline was talking about. Podence, moving on to Podence then. Macedo to Cavaleiros Municipality, Bragança district, the northeast of Portugal. So that's the trip these gentlemen are working on over to Podence. And I'll give you Lonny's email address into the chat now to join that merry band who are making their way over there. This is a traditional feast of Celtic origin in the northern part of Portugal, isn't it? So do you have it down, gents, as a Celtic origin, this particular style? The picture I'm going to show. This is Celtic in origin, Ralph, is it?
Yes, it is.
All right. It's going to be amazing seeing loads of people dressed like that coming down these wonderful northern Portugal cobbled streets. Caretos, is that the name of the sticks?
The caretos, it's the name of the characters.
Oh, the name of the characters. Okay. And sausage seems to be
quite... That characters are like a diabolic persons, they say.
Oh. Okay, all right. I believe the tradition only allows single men to wear the costume, so it's quite specific.
I think nowadays humans also use the suit.
Okay, but presumably
you have an interesting thing that you can do. You can rent a suit for a day.
Oh, Lonny. So we're going to get Lonny in a suit, aren't we? So we can
no.
Still look at him. Ralph, if you can just give him a few glasses of Portuguese red, and then we'll get him in one of those suits, because we need to see those pictures for sure.
No. My dancing days around women are long gone.
Okay, fondle the like button, GuMPers. Oh, I think I've blocked somebody there by mistake. OLP, whilst I was fondling the like button and messing around, I've blocked you. I've got to find out. It's nothing personal, and I've got to find out a way of unblocking you. So I'm so sorry about that. And I seem to have lost all the other comments at the moment as well, unless all the comments were from you. I've really messed up here on the screen. That description, says James, of becoming friends is so Portuguese. So your story there, Lonny, of meeting Ralph and becoming friends is being admired by James here. So Portuguese in his experience as well. Perhaps a marketing motto: the Portuguese are ready to be your friend. How lovely. Joao F, everything does stop for 2 to 3 hours for lunch. True civilization. That too. That's a really good comment to be made. And of course, as you said, lunch will be available on the tour, right? So have you booked a restaurant for the merry band to stop off at?
Yes, we will stop in Mirandela to lunch. Mirandela, it's a beautiful city too, so it will be great.
Oh, excellent. So good lunch. And what's the traditional favorite over that way then? What's on the menu? Do we know yet?
The tradition thing there, it's alheira. But
yes.
I spoke with Lonny, and he said me, maybe the person will not like it.
Oh, I see. If any vegetarians are on the tour bus, that might not be for them. So, but for people who do want to try the alheira, it's a chicken sausage, isn't it?
Not even just with chicken, but with pig.
Oh, I see. So it's a mix. Okay.
Yeah.
It's got an amazing history. It's worth looking at the history of the alheira sausage, of course, and that's all the sort of stuff that you do, Ralph, I'm sure, on your tours. The local Câmara Municipal websites have details of the festivals and festas there, so you have to look at the ones around you where you are. So I don't think there is a central repository of festa-type information. This tradition, apparently, so you guys are doing something great here, keeping this alive. The tradition almost disappeared in the 70s, but was recovered in the 80s. And I suspect it is some sort of fertility-based or coupling ritual, isn't it, where you go around tapping people on their bottoms to show them how fond you are of them. Always get permission first, everybody. Ralph, maybe there's another project for you, a book, a pamphlet, etc., listing all the festivals, what they are about, where and when. And this is a good... Are you open to other ideas here, Ralph, about the sort of tours people might like, or have you got quite a set program?
Yes. I am open for everything. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So I'm thinking about next to do, I already spoke with Lonny about medieval fair in Torre de Moncorvo. Oh. So maybe it will be the next project.
Okay. Because Lonny, I think Ralph has been helpful, not only with these historical and cultural things, but we need a Portuguese BFF to help us understand the simpler things, right? Like where to find the Câmara Municipal that's been talked about, how to use the metro, etc. I mean, that'd be quite a good service, wouldn't it?
Yeah. One of the things that I loved about Ralph was that, there are things that I don't know how to do as an American coming here that are just natural for him. So, he was kind enough to take me to the metro station, show me which buttons to push, show me the map. It was a lot of information, and I don't speak Portuguese, and I'm now really good at jumping on the metro here in Trindade and making it over to Casa de Música, where Ralph lives, and so there's that. The other tour he's talked about putting together is a 2-day tour up here in the north, drive out to a town, stay in a hotel, and it's really for people that are looking at moving here, where he would drive you out to different villages so that you could see some of the villages there as possible places for expats to live.
What a fabulous idea! Because I'm sure, Ralph, when if someone says to you, "Do you think you could show me how to use the metro?" It's like, okay. I mean, really, I want to show you about the history and culture of my country, but if it's the metro, because they don't know how to do it, do they?
Yeah, I'm here to help people, so this is my mission. It's help others. Okay, so of course I love my country and I love to show my country, but if anyone wants to do anything else, why not? I'm here to help.
So brilliant. And I've put the website address in there. There, of course, is the upcoming date for the 1st of March. And if you want to book onto if you want to get in touch with Lonny and make the booking for that, you can do that at livelonny@gmail.com. But there's Ralph's website there. Let's have a quick look at that because I just saw some lovely video. Oh, here we go. Can you talk us through that, Ralph? What's happening now?
So this video, this is Amarante here. This is the bridge of Amarante. So this video, it's a compilation of places in the north. Okay.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Look at that. No wonder you're proud of it. And we see some northern sort of a styling architecture there. What's that? Where's that place?
Do you have a person here in your expats that lives there? It's in Suajo. I think it's Revel Mama.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. And I think Prof. Eusebio knows this place. His people come from there. What a bridge. This is beautiful photography. This is incredible.
Yeah. This is Viana do Castelo. We have a lot of great places here in the north.
Don't you just? This is incredible. And ideal, because people coming to Portugal, they think, I can't bear the heat of Portugal, but I want the culture and the friendliness. The north is the place to look, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think in the north, the people are a little bit more authentic. The
controversial. I agree. Okay, this video is beautiful, Ralph. Fantastic. So you can see this at the website address that I've also put into the comments. I'm so sorry, OLP, for blocking you. I didn't mean to do that on purpose. But this is Ralph. How do we say your second name?
It's not my second name. That's my wife's last name.
Of course, it's Faustino is how we introduce you, isn't it? So how do I say that?
Faustino.
Okay,
because
so
my wife, she's half Portuguese, half French. So his last name is Siag.
Siag. Okay, ralphsiag.com there. Loving this website. Go look at that, folks, at your leisure. That's absolutely superb. Anything else you need to tell us, guys, while you're here? Because I'm sure lots of people are already reaching for their email and want to get in touch with you and learn more about the beautiful north that we've seen there. Lonny, Ralph, anything else to add?
Just one thing is there's only a few seats left on the bus for this trip, so we'd love to have people jump on and reserve their spot in the next couple of days.
It's going to be so much fun. All about the sausage, apparently up there. Let's see what else people are saying to you. Might have other questions here. I wish I had Ralph with me on my first Porto Metro visit. Is it very difficult? Is it very difficult navigating the Porto Metro?
For us, it's not, because we know how to speak Portuguese and we know how to read things. But for you, maybe it's a little bit. But okay, don't you worry about it. If you get lost, you just need to come back to
absolutely. Just call Ralph. Just call Ralph. Yeah, eggs and sugar for the confectionery. How unusual! This is why, from João, this is why Northern Europeans see the Portuguese as lazy bones. We just keep going from party to party instead of being at work. I think that's a pretty good way of approaching life. I would say
that's not true, because almost all of the factors are in the north, so we are working hard. But of course, in the summer we need to celebrate.
Good point. There is so much industry in the north of Portugal, isn't there? So it's work hard, play hard, João F. He's probably from the south. We don't need to advertise. We already know where it is. Maybe the most Portuguese thing I've heard this year. So you've got an award already. Most Portuguese things said on the show, according to the prof. Bacon and bacalhau. Now that's a challenging sarnie. Brilliant. Pete Bleach also saying to Pam, one of the reasons we moved here, it was a little bit behind the times. I think he means that well. GOF, they seem to party all night and work all day. So that's how you do it. The partying goes on late into the night and back up for work the next morning. I don't know where they get the energy. Okay, so there's a good question. Where do you get the energy to do this, Ralph? Is it the coffee?
I don't know. But I also, when I was younger, I also do it. I party all night and work all day with no problems. Now with the baby, it's a little bit more difficult to do it.
Fair enough. Bon dia, Carl, and everyone this morning from Michelle in Australia, who I think also favours the North and will be in touch with you. Michelle, isn't Ralph a great person to have met this morning? And Antonio F is here, of course. Another political prisoner. It wasn't a political action, nothing against LLP, because I did it to Suze before and she's feeling the pain. I think there's going to be a sort of political splinter group, those who've been blocked from the Good Morning Portugal show. But no harm meant. I'll do what I can to bring you back as soon as I possibly can, OLP. Mirandela, some 25 kilometres away from Macedo de Cavaleiros there. A little bit of a reference and help us clarify the situation. Thank you, Antonio F. Do you have a love of the North, Antonio F? Francis says, I've stayed with my friend's family in Mirandela. It's so beautiful. I drank my oldest glass of port there. It's a special place. And you know what? We've been talking, for half an hour? We haven't even mentioned alcohol or port yet, have we? Tell us about some of the alcoholic delights, if you will, please, Ralph, as we go through these comments.
So for all of the persons who want to meet me, they will taste the real port wine. You can ask Lonny, because I already give him a commercial port wine,
yes,
and the local port wine for a farmer in the Douro region, and he have a good taste because he preferred the local port wine.
He passed the test. Do people have to pass that test to be clients, to be real clients? They need to know the difference. Here's another request, Ralph. How to use the multi-bunco. Do that before the port wine tasting, though, right? So, what looks something as simple as that, taking people to a cash machine to learn how to use the ATM. There's another one for you. That's an exciting day out. Any day I drank wine is the oldest I've ever consumed, says James. Nice one, James. And there's the website, because we're coming up to time now. It's 10 o'clock. Look, Ralph Siag, Siag.com there. I'd be keen, other ideas coming in, I'd be keen on a tour of the coast and the good surf spots. Another great suggestion, because you have the green coast up there, don't you? Yeah. Another well-kept secret. Tell us about your coastline, please.
Oh, it's wonderful. And if you want to start practicing surf or bodyboard, this is the best place to learn it. Okay. Wow. For example, Matosinhos, I think it's the best beach in the north to learn it, because it's good to that. And in Viana do Castelo, it's a wonderful place to practice.
Incredible. All right. The North getting its rightful acknowledgement this morning. The early Celts lived in an enormous region stretching from modern Turkey through Eastern and Central Europe and westwards and northwards into much of Portugal. Thank you for that characteristic comment from the prof there. Thank you so much, prof. Those strange constructions, those tall stone buildings on leg are the espigueiros, places where the corn was stored to be dry and to be protected from the rodents. Very good. Thank you for that reference there as well, Antonio. The Lisboa Metro is very, very similar to the San Francisco Bay Area Rapid Transit, the BART there. So a little bit easier for those from San Francisco. Well, it is all downhill. I think we've moved. I can't remember what he's referencing there, because we've talked about so many wonderful things from the north of Portugal. I haven't been on BART for many years, but it was dirty and nasty. I don't think the same can be said of the metro up in Porto. Ralph is a star for the north. There you go. You're being enjoyed this morning, Ralph. I think this is the second time Carl blocked. Look, stop it now, you lot. Thank you, Ralph and Lonny this morning. People, I was being ironical about the Portuguese being seen as lazy bones. That was a statement used by some northern European politicians back in 2011 when referring to Portugal. We knew that, João F. We just thought there was a bit of south-north rivalry possibly. Free the OLP. A movement has already started. Brilliant. OLP, you can get in touch via WhatsApp. We are connected there, unless I block you there, of course, as well. Good morning, GuMPers. Marty's here. Look, just awoke as the wind is howling here in Alaska. I've got a snow video to show you before we go today from Sue's, I believe. And just, so last few comments, certainly this one we must put on the screen. Ralfe, Star of the North. That's what it means. That's the Portuguese translation of the name Ralph now, Star of the North. Thank you so much. It'd be so good to get you and Vitor on the same show, singing the praises of the North. That's a show to look forward to. And a simple bon from Raj, and that's from the Algarve as well. So that's a proper praise there. So we've got your website address. I'm going to stick that back on the screen, Ralph. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, both of you, for organising this upcoming tour to Podence. That's happening on the 1st of March, and tickets are still available there, Lonny?
Yep.
All right, fantastic. Website going back onto the screen now in the comments if you want to get in touch with Ralph. Final words from you, gentlemen. From you, Lonny, first. Anything else you want to say whilst you're here?
Just thanks so much for having my friend Ralph on. And I get to share Ralph with the rest of Portugal. It's just been great. Thank you.
Well, thank you for making that happen. Ralph, thank you for being here. Last word to you, Star of the North.
Thank you for the invitation. And I also want to invite you to come here to the north. I want to show you the north here. So, well, when you want it, I can be your friend here.
Oh, good on you, Ralph. And you know, this is a day, Consumer Tuesday, when we like to celebrate great Portuguese businesses. I think yours is one of them. So please, folks, support Ralph and the wonderful work he's doing up there to share the culture with you and give you a fantastic day out. Whether it be at the cash machine, the ATM, multi-bank, the metro system.
I can teach you how to use the metro and the ATM.
Amazing. And then on the one hand, then a wild day of being whacked on the bottom with a wooden stick and plenty of sausage as well on the other hand. Who could ask for anything more than that? On that note, we will leave you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here. Come back again, won't you, Ralph? And you, Lonny, as well, of course. But I'm just talking to the Star of the North. There's an open door for you here. You have the key to the studio. We hope to see you soon.
Okay, thank you.
De nada. Okay, ciao. Have a great trip on the 1st of March. Ciao, folks. Bye for now. There you go. There goes Ralph. There goes Lonny. Fantastic. 6 minutes past 10, everybody. Let's see what the last few comments are. The truth is that people in Portugal work hard to get food on the table and provide for their families. Yes, and that is true from north to south. Life has been hard for us for the past decade. And in no patronizing way, let us know. I mean, the expats are coming here. They love the country, the immigrants, the foreigners, whatever you call the interlopers, I think they were referred to earlier on. If in any way we can help with that, you let us know how, João F. This is a symbiotic win-win, I hope. And that's what this the sentiment, the spirit of the Good Morning Portugal show and Expats Portugal is all about. What part of the East Bay? I was born in San Pablo, but lived and worked all over. The Americans having a little bit of a chat there about the West Coast. And life is so good. I think Jim's got that feel-good feeling. It's Tuesday. We're not even at Friday yet, and Jim's already got that feel-good feeling that was emanating from the Northern Star, who is Ralph there. Obrigado for today. Loved it. Me too. And you know what? I'm going to have to carry everything else over that we couldn't squeeze in today. Thank you for your lovely pictures, Victoria. We will show those tomorrow. And your snowstorm, Suze, as well, because we're going to have to leave it there today. What a lovely feeling. What a lovely warm feeling in our bellies, in our solar plexi that we have on this auspicious day. Can you imagine being born today on 22 022. Happy birthday. Welcome to the world, little one, if you were born today on this special day. And enjoy the rest of your day, folks. And thanks for making this such an excellent show this morning. Thanks to Lonny, thanks to Ralph, and thanks to Jacqueline, and of course to Chico and Madonna, who were here with us earlier on. Ciao for now!